Yeah.
Yo, yo, yo. Do you think that's cringe? Yo, yo, yo.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey guys, it's us, and it's another wonderful Thursday when you're gonna see this, of course. Anyway, we were supposed to do a Q&A like however long ago when we went camping. We're not very good at vlogging. Our vlog was only 6 minutes. I have to do better at pulling the camera, but you know, when you're in the moment, it's kind of hard. I don't know how some of these vloggers do it. It's like this is like you're looking at everything through a phone. It's kind of like
it takes away from what you're doing.
Yeah, so it's like a little difficult. Not that we were doing a whole lot, but it was nice to just enjoy the forest. It wasn't bad. It was an okay trip. We were a little unprepared. We were over prepared.
Maybe we'll put a little bit at the end of this.
Maybe. We were a little over prepared. My wife we brought 2 cars full of stuff. Between the 4 of us, it was the 2 of us and then my mother-in-law and brother-in-law. But anyway, that's not what this is about. Let's get this going with the Q&A questions. What do you think about that?
And answers, yeah.
That's true.
Okay.
What's the first one?
What's a lesson that's stuck with you through your life?
Do you have an answer to that? A lesson that's stuck with you in your life. Wow, that's a profound question. What an intense first question.
Yeah, I just kind of picked the first one. By the way, this is from our Rob and Dan 63 Instagram account. If you follow us, you were able to ask us questions.
Maybe we'll do these more often. The biggest lesson that's
one that I've learned, like, it wasn't a lesson that I was taught, but a lesson that I've learned, and like recently, I think I've talked about this in like another video, but like I don't know what it is. Like I've like reached 28, and I guess like my brain
guy's got a huge cock.
I guess my brain like developed more, or finished developing. I feel like, I don't know, I have a better understanding this year. But basically the lesson that I've learned that I think is important, that I wish like littler me knew, is that like it ain't that serious when it comes to like relationships and like valuing, like I guess like valuing people. Like just because somebody is like your blood family doesn't mean that like you have to care.
Yeah, I get that. You know, I understand where you're coming. I mean, I'm very family oriented. We have a pretty strong family unit, but I get what you mean. Like sometimes things burn, and
like especially now, like I get one
your chosen family sometimes can be better than your
sorry, I think of it more of like they stress me out. Like I worry about like, oh, what is this specific family member? What are they gonna do if I do A, B, and C, or if I don't do A, B, and C? And it's like, fuck them. Who cares?
Yeah. I think, I don't know, this is a short notice for such a profound question, but I think one of the things that I found interesting, that I learned, a life lesson that was interesting, is that when you remember something from your past as like a kid, to understand that it's a perspective of you when you were a kid, and that you're basically listening to a child. It doesn't mean that it's invalidated completely, but I remember like a petty thing where like I had like a fight with my friends when I was like a kid in my teenage years, and I remember getting older and going like, yeah, that guy's an asshole. But we had like a stupid fight because I lent him like a PlayStation, and then like we were hanging out with different friend groups and he didn't give it back early enough, so now he's in it. You know what I mean? And you know, it's not gonna apply to everything, but it's just something interesting to think about. You know, when it's something to consider reevaluating your perspective on something that you thought about when you were a kid, because you were looking at it through the lens of a kid. So that's one of my things.
That's a good one.
Thanks, babe. Thanks, babe.
All right. Question number 2. What are some of the healthy mechanisms you guys practice to stay patient, focused, and open-minded when engaging in heated conversations / times within the relationship?
Like with each other?
Yes.
Well, it's different for everybody. We both, I think...
Yeah, it's what we do.
You know, well, I meant like, yes, okay. I think we both... I can have anger problems sometimes. I'll say that. So for like a lot of my life, I used to break a lot of things. I never like hit a partner or anything, but I used to get in fights and break stuff, and you know, all that. And then being with you, my little behavioral specialist, you know, I guess when we're heated, sometimes we just walk away. Deep breaths. It's just like such basic stuff. like when I'm angry because we're talking about something, just don't say anything rude in the moment, right? Don't try to do something that hurts the person just because you're angry. Be angry, but don't take it out. I definitely like, I don't try not to yell or anything. A lot of my stuff is just keep like myself emotionally regulated, and then keep telling myself I know that I'll calm down and I'll be able to have a constructive conversation. But there are times where like I forgot what I did we were in the gym. This is one of those things, and like, you know, my wife and I go to the gym together, and again, like I was in a mood, and my wife did something like wrong in the gym. Of course, like I've been going to the gym for a long time. Like I used to be really into like fitness, and I've read a lot of materials. Check out like Wendler 531 and Starting Strength, and check out the YouTube channel Alan Thrall. But anyway, and so like I was in a bad mood already, and then because I was burnt out, and she was doing something wrong, but it wasn't like a big deal. And like she complained a little bit, and like I had like a disproportionate response, and I upset her, and like I just needed to, I just needed to stop talking. And then like it took me like a day to apologize to you. So also be patient with your partner.
Yes. So I think what's important because I have anger problems too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think we've only like truly yelled at each other like a very few amount of times.
Yeah, and then
like just like raising our voices. Like we don't. It's been like maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, well, we also both have like very set boundaries. Like when I've yelled and I've gotten loud, not like yelled at you, but when I've gotten like loud, even when I do it jokingly, you're like, I don't like that. Stop doing it. And so for me, that hard boundary is like, okay, and it keeps me regulated in general.
I was gonna say that our relationship is so good.
We also have a lot of good sex.
Yeah.
But
our communication is incredible. Like you just said, like me saying like I don't like when you do that. Like I'm able to do that like in the moment with you. Or if you're
like that.
We give each other feedback constantly.
Yeah.
And like even when we're fighting, and like we take like we talk over each other constantly, but we take turns fighting. Like we take turns when we're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Our fights are conversations. They're heated conversations where it's like, okay, like you said this, now I'm gonna say like my points of A, B, and C.
And then we walk away sometimes.
Yeah.
So like you'll say what you're saying, and then I'll say what I'm saying, and then like we'll just walk away. Sometimes, and that's very rare because we don't really get that heated angry.
No. And then I also, so like I've talked about this as well, but like my ex, me and him just didn't go well together, and I walked all over that man.
Yeah.
And like that's not, I mean, I don't want that dynamic, and that's not our dynamic, and I also don't want to do that to you. So like you said, like
well, that's
like
another
I won't
thing too.
do things to like hurt you.
No.
Damn, I had something else I wanted to say and you made me forget.
I'm sorry.
Oh, and it's very cliche, but it's very true. I try to finish fights before, like I try to have the fights, like arguments. Sorry, I try to have the conversation when we're fighting before we go to sleep.
Yeah.
We really never. I think we've gone to bed angry like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, we've been together for quite.
And those were like weird fights.
Yeah.
Where like one of us is in a. Not just kidding. It's in like a mood, and it's like just like a weird.
One of us, because you're not in a mood. Well, another thing too, you touched on it a little before, was like that. That's like part of it, because like we both have very strong personalities, and there are some people that I don't want to say that people have weak personalities, but there are some people who are more passive, and like unfortunately, like that you just don't want that dynamic. Because I've been there too, you know what I mean? And I've never meant poorly. Like I think we are similar in the fact that we've both been with somebody that. We've been very dominating in the relationship, but we also give a tremendous amount of like energy, positive energy, where you're doing a lot for your partner, try to like support them and whatnot. And you know, it's not
you're just like great. Not on the same page.
Yeah, and then it's just you know, but that's why we work well together, because we're both very, you know, we're like 2 tidal waves. But also the sex is also a big part of it. Well, listen, I understand I gotta be a little censored, but that compatibility is a nice stress release.
It is, but I think a better way of saying it, instead of airing our business, is saying like finding what's important to you in your relationship or knowing what's important to you in a relationship, having that be mutual with your partner, and then engaging in that is also very helpful.
Engage in positive stress release methods together as a unit in unison, and communicate with your penis.
All right.
You like that one?
Yeah. Next question. All
I
right.
like you a lot.
I
Okay,
love
what's the
you.
next question? Why are these so deep?
What's your favorite TV show / movie?
I don't know. I don't really have favorites.
I know.
You go first, and I'll think.
My just like classic is like my favorite show is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, you
and my favorite movies are Coneheads, Earth Girls Are Easy, Howard the Duck, and A League of Their Own.
Yeah, I don't really have favorites of a lot of stuff. TV show wise, like I don't have a favorite of anything.
I was just thinking of this when we started talking. I asked you your favorite TV show, and you told me it was Third Rock from the Sun.
I used to love Third Rock from the Sun. It's one of my favorite comedies. I think like I like it's cringe, but I like My Hero Academia a lot. But that show kind of sucks now. The writing went to shit. It's like anime cringe. Movie wise, when I was a kid, this is a story. When the Star Wars came out, like the third episode, I think it was, like the prequels, I think I went to see that movie like 4 times. Like I just liked it a lot. I know that the classics have a better storyline, but I like the prequels and they were pretty decent, so that was fun. But as far as favorites, I used to love Game of Thrones until the ending was so disappointing it ruins the whole show for me, because it feels like a really like strong engagement and then like a horrible climax, so that's mine for that one.
All right. Somebody said, what is the best food? Asian, American, Mexican, Indian, etc. And what is your favorite dish in said genre?
Well, I mean, I have to say for me personally, it's gonna be sushi. It's gonna be Asian sushi.
Really?
Yeah, I like Asian stuff.
You think that is the best food?
I mean, my palate is like fucking garbage heap. Like, what do I eat? Like, just fucking dog shit. I was
gonna say Italian and pizza.
Pizza's good, but I like sushi more. I like. What are you looking at me like? That's fucking weird. Like, I literally was the one who got you into sushi. You weirdo. Like, I like sushi.
Weird.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't know you liked sushi that much. That's what we were supposed to do tonight. We talked about going to our sushi place. Our nice sushi place.
Yeah. Get like they have like brown rice sushi. It's really good.
So good.
It's really good. We should get it to where are you working? Well, okay. Are you working close, medium, or far tomorrow?
Medium.
Maybe I could still get us lunch sushi. Anyway, next question. Next question, nerd.
What inspired us to create a YouTube channel?
What did inspire us?
I feel like what inspired us is that he had a channel and I would come on sometimes and like we have fun.
People
and like his viewers liked when we talked and stuff. Do you know what I was thinking about? Do you remember when we had, it's posted on, maybe it's not posted anymore, but we had the argument about like weighing water.
I kind of remember that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Silly.
But yeah, it was just like, we like to spend time with each other, and
that's one of the things where like, because right now I'm still doing pretty well on YouTube, but if it ever fell through and I had to get a real job, we've talked about it, I think that we'd try to do like a once a week together thing, like a weekend, like a little podcasty kind of thing or something where we would just talk or something. It's like, that'd be fun. Because I like this channel. It's less stressful. Like, everything's so fucking drama, bullshit on my other channel. And it gets like draining sometimes. It gets like so fucking crazy, So I enjoyed this. We're just kind of farting around and it's cool. Next question.
Jet Barone wants to know if you could play Call of Duty with him.
Who?
Jet Barone.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I have Call of Duty. I'm just not a big Call of Duty player. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not gay. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I am gay.
So, this person is currently going through a sort of transitioning period in their life.
Okay.
Excuse me. And wants your advice on trying to make and achieve long-term goals. They've been struggling a bit and wondering if there's any gut knowledge to impart.
I mean, it's so vague. It's hard to give specific advice, for like a big thing, and I don't want to say something misleading. But they're just saying that they're going through they're just trying to figure out how to stay on task.
Trying to achieve long-term goals.
Yeah, so like what's long-term goals. I mean, so it's such a vague thing. It's hard to tell like what your goal is in general. So I don't want to, I guess I'll apply it to me. For us, the best one for us is we've been trying to lose weight in like a long-term capacity since probably the end of last year. We've actually been on like a decent fitness journey, and I know it doesn't seem like it because we haven't lost a whole lot of weight. But I think that this time around, my perspective on fitness has been less about losing weight, which is obviously the overall goal, but more about trying to engage in better, healthier habits. And I think we've been doing decent with that. Even if we haven't, like, that's like the we want to lose weight. So like, what do you have to do to lose weight? Usually you want to diet and you want to exercise. So like exercise wise, we've been trying to we've been walking more. We went for the camping trip and the hike. We've been trying to get outside more in general. We've been swimming more. And we've been just trying to figure out exactly what we want to do. This time, for me, what really helped me stay on task exercise-wise is I like doing strongman training. So I find something I like and then engaging in that. And then she's along for the ride for that one. So I get her ass to the gym. But we also do it together. We've been pretty good. So I guess micro goals would be what I would say. A lot of micro goals. And if you fail your goal, don't give up because that's silly. You just be like, okay, I can do better. Because, I'd say generally we've pretty dramatically reduced our fast food consumption, even if we're still kind of overeating. We really...
For 2 weeks.
No, baby. We used to have fast food like a couple of times a day every week.
We used to have second dinner when we were dating.
Yeah, so so for the past 6 months, we have been eating less fast food. We haven't been doing perfectly, but we used to eat fast food like once or twice every single day. And now we're down like maybe a couple times a week. We've been doing really well with fast food. And like that was a small goal. Have I lost any weight? No. But like getting away from the fast food just made me feel better overall. That was a good micro goal. Another micro goal for getting fitness is if you're like overweight, go to the doctor and see if you have like diabetes or high blood pressure or something, because getting that under control can give you like a burst of energy. Just micro goals, and like don't give up, because it's one of those things where you'll diet and then you'll have one bad day and you're like, I give up. And it's like, well, just because you had one bad day or one bad week where you gained weight, giving up is just gonna make you gain more weight, you fucking idiot, right? Just talking to myself, right? So it's micro goals, staying on task, trying to have confidence. It would be so easy to succeed if we knew we were going to succeed, right? If you knew that an action was going to lead to your outcome, you would have a higher chance of doing it. Unfortunately, we live in the real world, so there's no guarantees on anything. But try to operate as if your goal is going to be achieved if you work hard. I think that's a pretty big overall one.
My little thing I'll say is don't try to be like too exact in what your goal is. Just have like a thought of like in general, like what you would like to feel, because as you go along that path to reach that goal, you're also gonna encounter different things that are gonna make your goal look different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
right, when we did fitness a few months ago, it was like we're just gonna walk, and now we're in the gym and we're working out. I'm enjoying it more. We're being more flexible and compatible, so
for me, I think about it more like my career path was like, okay, I'm going to become a social worker because I want to work in the LGBT community and be an advocate on the government level. And now I'm in the disabilities field.
But you're still successful.
I'm still a social worker.
Yeah,
but that if I didn't have that exact
be into that, because we know people who do this. If if you go to school for something, it's okay to settle for something else to build. Like, let's say you go to school for a particular, you go to school for a particular trade, right? And I don't want to be specific. Let's say you go to school for music, and you get a master's.
Right, he doesn't fucking want.
You don't want, and you get a master's degree, and you want to do like orchestra or something, but you get a job doing some kind of band. Don't throw the fucking baby out with the bathwater. Suck it up, do the band thing for a while, and then as you get more experience, you'll be able to do what you want, instead of settling for some fucking bullshit ass job.
Okay.
But you guys, that's not specific.
Next question.
Yeah.
What have y'all experience been growing as a couple and getting to know each other over the years since you two matched? Kind of like a relationship breakdown, if you're both comfortable sharing.
Overall, it's just been great.
I was gonna say a lot of it, like what have we experienced growing together as a couple, is what we talked about, like in terms of fighting. But
yeah. And establishing boundaries of things that we both like to do and kind of coming to a nice thing. Because I'm a very lazy, I want to stay home and do nothing person. And you're a very, let's go out and have fun person. And so one of the things that I do is like when you're like, I want to go somewhere, I just go with you. And if I hate it, I tell you I hate it. And then you're like, okay, we won't do it again. But if, a lot of times I like it and then we do it more, right? So getting outside your comfort zone, you know, like a little, what's it called? Meeting in the middle.
Yes.
You know.
And I think I've had a lot of personal growth. I think that there's a lot of factors. I think it's like where I am in my life, my age, but then I think that the way we've been able to talk to each other, I've been able to process like a lot of like my own like trauma and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a person like to have that conversation with.
Yeah.
And that can like handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you've also like talked through some things with me, or not even talked through, but just like talked about.
You know.
And
I don't want to talk through it anymore.
What?
Right, trauma stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like I've worked through trauma.
Yeah.
You've talked to me about things, and so you know,
I don't need to
I'm a little bit of a nutcase.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I think that's the growing that we've done. I'm a better person in this relationship
too.
because of this relationship.
Well, I like to, part of my motivating to be a better person is just to be a better person for you, so that helps. It also helps that we're like best friends, which I don't think is normal in a lot of relationships. I think that like historically you find somebody when you're young, when you haven't really had a chance to figure out like who you are vaguely, and then you find somebody and you marry them and you hope that you guys are compatible. We met when you were basically 24, and I was 29. Jesus Christ.
Well, you were 28.
I was 28 and you were 23. And then like you turned 24
Right here.
like a must.
We made out right
Yeah,
here.
and I fingered her in the car. It was our first date, is where we are right now. But you turned 24. I was like,
I'm saying shit.
so you
like
brought
that.
it up. Anyway, and then I didn't make her reciprocate, and that's how she fell in love with me. Remember that? You're like, okay, you want me to blow you or something? I was like, no, it's fine. And we just left, and we hung out.
Listen, enough.
Okay, well, I rizzed you up a little bit. Then we fell in love. Anyway, that's one thing, is there's nothing wrong with understanding that some people just grow apart when you're together, and then that will bring some turbulence in a relationship. So if that happens, sometimes it's okay to like, you know, disconnect. But we got lucky. We're very much in love. We're best friends. We met when we were a little more mature. You're more mature than me in general, and you were more mature than me at 24.
It's just a girl and guy thing.
Probably. But we were at a good spot, and then like we grew together. We got lucky with that.
We got really lucky.
We got really lucky.
So yeah, now I'm gonna perform good communication. I wasn't saying that you didn't have trauma or anything.
Okay.
I just wasn't like trying to speak on your behalf of like the depth of what we've talked about for yourself.
Yeah, I understand. It's fine.
So
I didn't get offended if that's what you thought.
See, but that's communication.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question. Do you want to answer that question or no?
What, why did I switch channels?
And do you regret this decision?
So the why I switched channel, I've been talking about it with my wife a lot because I'm a little self-conscious and frustrated about it. I had my wife is my manager. I think people should, like, I sit down and I talk to her now about a lot of decisions, and I look back and I go, well, I really wish I didn't change my channel because I had more people. Even if I wouldn't have as many proportionate viewers, I had more people, a wider audience, I'd be able to say something. And so like in that capacity, I feel like, you know, this is the second or really third time I've given up a channel. I had my old Papa Gut channel that got banned at 2.5 million. And then I had another channel that got banned at 600,000 before that, which that wasn't as big of a deal, but like there was that one. Then I had this YouTube channel that I decided to move against, and it's like I keep resetting, and like I want faster growth, but then that's like a very entitled behavior. And I get frustrated sometimes, and so I look at it very negatively, like, why did I switch? But the reason I switched is a lot of things. And one of them, we talked about this the other day, because I talked about just streaming on the channel that I'm on now, and then just posting the actual segments on the old channel. But I have a very negative energy associated with that channel, in general. You know, like at my height, at my peak, I was burning out. I was like making mistakes. I wasn't really proud of the content I was making. So there was like a lot of negatives, and changing the channel, there's obviously less viewership and less money, but we're still doing fine. But it was like a nice like sit back and like relax and evaluate myself and how I deal with controversy. Obviously, I was in a little controversy somewhat recently. Oh shit! There's a whole bunch of people coming.
These people were here the last time we were here. All
it's 10
these
o'clock
guys,
at Applebee's.
They roll in together and then they back up into their goddamn parking spots.
Yep. Well, you know it's Pride Month.
Oh, they're not backing up into it tonight.
Listen, that's.
But it's the same. It's the group of people. Do you remember?
Right, well,
you were like,
okay.
But wait, it was like you actually like, is that a friend or one of the guy's girlfriends? That's the group of people. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, it was like a bunch of kind of like otaku nerds, and there's like one girl hanging out with them. God bless them. Listen.
There he goes back in.
All right, we got to stop making fun. These are young people, and we're sitting here like we got everything figured out. When I was like 22, I was probably a stupid little asshole. So I got to stop. We stop being judgmental. Okay. But anyway, like I think overall, I've had a different type of success, and that's learning to deal with different things better and maintaining my perspective and whatnot, and establishing a boundary between my content and my real life. So the grass is always greener. I think this was probably the right choice. I just have to be better ego-wise with, like, right now, I'm just not anybody. And not like a bad way. I don't want you to get, like, triggered for me. And that's okay. I'm chilling. I'm okay. I'm relaxed. You know what I mean? I have it pretty well. So, next question. We gotta wait for a little bit for them to get seated anyway.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, 10:30 will be good.
Oh, maybe not that late, though.
Somebody asked, what do you guys admire, appreciate the most about each other? I touched on it before. I think it's like his ability to listen to me and like hear. We talk about literally everything.
Yeah.
I talk to him about Disney constantly. I talk to him about my like trauma. I open up about like anything to him. I talk to him about work. Like he's able to listen, and I appreciate that. Like that's very important, like to me and for me. And then just about like him as a person in general is that he has a very strong like moral and value system that I think he really does incorporate into like every like act or movement in his life. And I think that that's like what really I guess that's how I would like describe your personality, if that would make sense. I don't think it makes sense, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, sure.
And I like that about you. I also like your morals and values, which helps.
You like that I have them, and you like that I adhere to them? Is that what you're saying?
I like what they are.
Yeah.
Because you could have morals and values that are like fucking shit.
Yeah. Yeah, like
So.
I could be religious.
Basically.
I actually am somewhat religious.
Yeah.
I just don't hate gay people.
That part freaks me out. But
I just don't dislike gay people. That's the good part about it. For my wife, this is so cringe. I'm just kidding. I like you a lot. You're good. My wife's very intelligent. I like talking to my wife a lot. I like that I can be, like, I could talk to her about anything. Like, she's basically the same shit you said to me. Like, I talk to my wife about everything, even when I'm upset. I think that one thing that I really value about my wife is that I can be vulnerable without being made to seem like less of a man. That's like a very important thing for me, because there's times where like, and there's stress going on in your life. And I've been with people before where you're stressing out and you have a lot of the workload onto you and the other person doesn't really, and they just don't care, or they will make you feel like less than for expressing like a frustration. But that doesn't happen with my wife. She makes me feel like a man, which sounds a little weird, but like she makes me feel like a man. And a lot of that is in the way that she listens to me and she builds me up. And then there's time that you sometimes I know that you'll placate me a little bit. You'll play to my ego a little bit in some instances in like a fun way. That makes me feel good about myself. So there's a lot there. You definitely stroke my ego. I'm not trying to over talk about it, but part of it is like our intimate life as well is like definitely part of it too. We're both very giving to each other in different ways. That's like definitely very compatible, and it goes along with you make me feel like a man there too. For me, we have different perspectives on life a little bit. So like it's very valuable to me that you make me feel like a powerful man. And you do that very well. Even though you're a very strong woman, you don't make me feel like less of a man. I don't think you've ever tried or ever really been condescending to me. Definitely not intentionally in a way to break me down. So that's been very powerful, and that's very good. So you're definitely the strongest woman I've been with. And I like that a lot about you. That's cool. Plus, I always say this because all these guys are always talking about, oh, I want like a young girl who fucking just got out of high school. That's basically what they're saying, and they have no hair and all this other stuff. They basically want to go to kid. But here's the thing: in the wild, after you finished doing the do, okay, I'm exhausted. A lot of times I collapse and fall asleep. My wife's still awake. She's the defender. She's defending my vulnerable body in the wild. So that's why you need a strong woman. You know, dominating a weaker woman, you know, what does that really mean? You know what I mean? That's why it's what I'm saying. Okay.
The next question.
You asked, I just try to be honest.
If you guys could change one thing in the world, what would it be?
I would just go. We go to Disney more. I would just like it a lot. It's such a selfish answer. Like, obviously, I'd rather.
I was gonna say selfish. Or
well, I would rather like end world hunger or whatever. But like, we're assuming you can't do that. So like, I don't know, make enough money to go to Florida more often, or go to any Disney around the world. Maybe, you know, something like that. Maybe open up like a business that I could pay people nicely. We talked about that before. We talked about opening up a gym for fat people that had a mental health focus and stuff.
I don't have an answer for this question. It's a big question.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because for me, I would choose something that would like benefit the majority.
Yeah, but I'm just operating. If I could like end world hunger or something, I would do that. But like, I'm assuming they're more in like small things that like are realistic that we could do.
Yeah, I wish that I could lose weight and then like I wouldn't have extra skin. That's what I wish. I wish that it would just like in the right way, you
Okay,
know?
fair enough.
This question I missed. How many times do you poop in a day?
Me usually once. You usually like a few times, but then lately you were so constipated you threw up the other day.
Yeah.
And I did that once. So I took an Imodium one time and I overate and I just started puking everywhere. I lost my voice for like 4 days. So.
I've lost my place. So. Okay. It's obviously a lot of couples questions.
Yeah,
do you guys ever think that each other's political or social views have rubbed off on one another? And what are some negatives with this, like bias with certain situations?
We're pretty aligned politically, I'd say, for the most part.
Yeah, at the core we are, but I think that I've educated you on a lot of different things.
Of course.
And so your opinion has kind of changed. And I think that not that like you haven't like changed my opinions on things, but I think that you've made me like more informed on opinions that I've already had.
Sure.
I don't know if you've...
Well, I feel like the same way about you.
If
like,
I've changed anything.
I've always been... Well, this is like my job, so obviously I've made a tremendous amount of... so I've always had the same perspective on pretty much everything, but I wasn't super informed on it, and so...
Well, like, for example, like people with disabilities, you did have a pretty big change in opinion.
That's actually true. I used to not have any respect for people with disabilities, which is, I know sounds horrible, but I feel like most people feel that way, but they won't say it. They just will avoid people with like Down syndrome at a mall. Or they'll walk past them and they'll joke to their friends about how there's like, oh, they'll call me R slur, which shit that happens is fucked up. And then like I found like just meeting people, it's just a small silly thing, but meeting them, it was like, wow, like what a piece of shit I was. And so like, yeah, I guess I definitely have like a lot more a passion, especially about the conversation, like as a disability. I wouldn't call myself a disabilities advocate, but I'm probably the only fucking edgelord on the internet trying to tell people not to use the R slur. So.
I don't think that there are negatives. I don't think that bias is negative. There's literally no such thing as no bias.
Yeah, everybody has a bias. It's about if you're able to set it aside. And to me, biases can be passionate. Like nobody wants to be wrong. And so like the way they work, everybody has their, it calls called an anchor bias. So you'll hear a bit of information and you'll believe that thing, and it'll take more to reverse your thought on that than it would to make you believe something in the first place, right? I think that we're very good at listening. We're better than most people. I'm gonna humble brag, but we're better than most, probably not even humble, but we're better than most people, yeah, that of like changing our perspective if we feel like we're wrong. I feel like a lot of people, a tremendous amount of people, don't actually understand why they feel the way they feel. They just feel that way. For me, I really do feel like I do, and you too. We look at a situation and we form an opinion, A lot of other people form opinions, and then they look at something, and they're looking for information that will just affirm what they feel or think. And I get it, because it's an ego thing, but like there's times where I'm wrong, and like you get over it, and you're like, okay, I'm wrong. But like there's a lot of people just fucking stupid. But seriously, like look, like I don't mean to be rude, but like there's a lot of religious people, that they just like, they don't like gay people because the fucking Bible says so, and it's like, well, why? They don't really know why. And then there are people who will just agree with every political narrative that's going out there, like left-leaning narrative now, and like they're not even necessarily wrong, but they don't know why they're right. Like they couldn't sit down and engage in a conversation about like, why are trans people valid? TikTok told me to. Like, why? They can't really answer that question. They can't really answer, like, I think one of the most dangerous questions is I don't need to get super political, is the Jewish question, where there's a lot of conversation about like Jewish people controlling the world. That's what the Jewish question is, basically. And nobody will answer very simple questions like, oh, why are there so many Jewish people in Hollywood? The quick answer is because back in the day, Jewish people weren't allowed to make movies in the Eastern United States. And so they had to make their own movie in Western United States. And they just did better because there were just better movies. And now that's why there's like a lot of Jewish people in movies. Very simple answer. Why are there so many Jewish bankers? Because back in the day, it was considered like dirty to handle money. So Jewish people were the ones that were like Christians, like in the Rome and whatnot. So like Jewish people were the ones that like, that's the only job that they could really do. And that's just kind of like, that's how things happen. Like things tend to, you look at a middle-class family of anything, and they tend to like stay within their sphere, and that's pretty much it. There's no conspiracy. That's why you haven't seen a single Jewish president. If the Jews control the world, why isn't there a Jewish president? Like in the United States, not a single one. Very basic things. But people can't engage with that. What happens is when you can't engage and you say, don't talk about that, you can't answer the question, that just kind of festers. And for me, like Jon Stewart was the one, he's Jewish, and he talked about how we need to like let people ask the question respectfully, of course, and then engage with it and then counter it so that people don't go out of control. So I think that, I know that was a lot, but what the fuck was the question? I'm sorry, I just rambled.
I think that came from bias.
Okay.
I said bias is not bad.
Yeah.
From my perspective with bias, I hate it because people are like, you're just saying that because like you are blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, dumb bitch, like how else do you want me to have a fucking opinion?
It's like when if you make a perspective on fat people, for instance, and you're like,
I got made fun of, oh, you're just saying that because you're fat. Yes,
of course, that's called empathy, right? That's like the same thing. That's like saying to a black person, like, hey, I want rice, and you're like, oh, you're just saying that because you're black. It's like, well, no fucking shit, asshole, because they can understand it, because they understand like whatever oppression they may be going through. The biases aren't necessarily bad. It's when you can't engage with somebody that can push against your perspective and bias where it becomes bad. If you're not mature enough or intelligent enough to have a conversation, if you can't like educate
someone that's going against you, like you shouldn't be talking.
Yeah, you have a weak perspective, and it's okay to not be great at it.
I was gonna say that's okay. You don't have to do that. But then don't be in those conversations because all you're doing is hurting the whole thing.
Yeah, you're just having a negative impact on it.
Someone said, I remember during the live stream where you guys tried the Grimace Shake, that Mama Gut said she doesn't have the same beliefs on God that Papa Gut does, and I wanted to know if she could go more in depth about her beliefs.
I think that you're really just the golden rule.
I don't know what that means.
They treat others the way you want to be treated, and then you create your entire life perspective around that.
Oh yeah, I'm very into like, I guess like what goes around comes around, like
karma.
Like I am very a believer. Like if I want something to happen, like I am not going to put any like negative energy into making that happen. So for example, like say I was in a race and...
Oh, you're a racist?
Yeah. Say I was like running a race and it was me and one other person and I wanted to win. But I know if I kicked the other person in the leg, I would probably win. Like, no, I'm not going to kick the other person in the leg.
Even if you feel like you can get away with it. It's like, I feel similar to that. Like, there's times where people I feel like have wronged me, and that's something that's been doing well for my anger, is just to try to let it go and like, you just move on and just be... it is what it is. Like... Be for yourself. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Like, even if nobody's gonna find out what you did, like, it's not worth having that. Like, even like if I shop online while I'm at work, like I'll be like, oh, I'm not gonna tell my husband, and then I come home and I'm like, oh, I bought a bag today.
Yeah, and it's something to keep in mind too. Like, it's a good thing to do good things, but even that, when the karma thing, isn't it so interesting that a lot of our moral systems, whether it's your karma, which I also agree with part of it too, or like a system of God, a lot of it centralizes around on not wanting bad things to happen to you. So it's like, I don't want to do something bad to someone else because I don't want something bad to happen to me. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's so selfish, but it's so human selfish. But it's not bad. Like, you don't want bad things to happen to you, you know? So.
But yeah, so I believe, like, I don't know. I believe in the, like, every time a butterfly flaps its wing, it changes the world.
I don't know about that.
And, like, you know, it's gonna fucking catch up to you. So it could catch up to you good or bad.
Yeah.
Make the choice.
I'd like to believe that there's a God, but that, like, religion has just failed because people have just inserted their own greed into religion, so, and have shifted like what the Bible has said or the interpretation of it. Especially since historically, you know, back in the day, people couldn't even read the Bible. They would just be told what the Bible says in it by some fucking asshole, and then they would be like, okay, that's fine, you know. So there's a lot. I think there's a lot of weaponization of the Bible to control people. And even read the Bible now, you look at some of those verses, like, who the fuck can read that, asshole? Like, you need like a fucking Rosetta Stone for the Bible. It's annoying.
I think, I don't know, religion is an interesting topic because, like, I'm not religious. Him and his family are. So I think that when we have kids, like, I know that my kids are going to be somewhat religious.
Yeah, probably.
And I think that it's going to be, like, a growing process. And I think that I am going to set some boundaries, but I don't even know what those boundaries would be because I'm just so unaware of religious
We'll
stuff.
get there when we get there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, next question.
Do a clap.
Do we clap my ass?
Yeah.
Definitely. My wife's ass claps too.
No, don't.
I clap it with my tongue.
Reading another question.
Any advice for an 18-year-old fresh out of high school with no real passion to strive for yet?
That's not the one I was.
Well, that's what I'm gonna talk about now. Yeah, man, that's normal. I think the greatest part about that is that's so normal, and I feel like we're telling kids that they are supposed to have their fucking life set out by 18. It's so toxic because I was there as well. You hit 18, you don't know what you want to do. Sometimes you force a bullshit passion. You're like, I want to do this, but you don't really know what you want to do. If you're 18 without a passion, understand that, like, that's normal, and there's a couple ways that you can operate. You said fresh out of high school, right? Mm-hmm. One, I would personally recommend going, if you have no idea what you want to do, go to school for a trade. As long as you don't have to love your job, you just have to tolerate it, or like kind of like it. Part of kind of liking the job is if you get paid pretty well for it. Not like my wife, you have a lot of passion in your job. That's not normal for most people. A lot of times, maybe this is more for men, but a lot of times, you know, as long as you're at a job and you're decently respected and you're decently paid, you're going to be happy and you're going to be able to make money to be able to do stuff you actually like. And those things are going to change every day. You know, your hobby right now might be playing video games. 10 years from now, your hobby might be fucking, I don't know, golf. I don't know. You know, so it's good to do that. And then if you get a little older, 25, even 30, and you decide to change, if you did a career that pays well, like welding or something like that, like a trade job, electrician or a mechanic or whatever, you can always switch fields. And it's also good to do a trade because they're hard to automate, and that's like the future of automation. So it's okay that you don't have passion, you know. And if you decide to go the college route, go to a 2-year community college for the bullshit, liberal arts. And if you don't know what you want to do by then, go into a trade school. Like, you know, a lot of it's like that.
That's what I was gonna say. I am a huge advocate for.
Sorry,
going on the back.
No, I'm so uncomfortable. Go ahead.
I'm a huge advocate for community college.
It's actually very good. People shit on it for no reason.
Yeah, I was one of those people that stressed out. My guidance counselor, she's a fucking bitch, and I don't like her, but she basically told me, like, I wasn't gonna get into any 4-year college, so that I needed to apply to the community college, which isn't that a bunch of bullshit? Because there's no way that I wouldn't get into, like, all of the colleges I applied to anyways. Yeah. But it doesn't matter where you get your fucking degree from.
For the most part, yeah, that's kind of true.
Like, going away to school is fun because it's just, like, unhinged. It's wild. I had my worst experiences there, and it was every single thing I wanted, really.
So you got to know you didn't like it.
Yeah. I wanted to let loose. That's why I went away. And I went away and I let fucking loose. But community college, I think, is the way to go. Explore what you want. Go to community college and participate in the extracurriculars. And
meet new people.
Yeah, meet people. And honestly, I would say a great job to have while you're in school is grocery stores. I loved working in a grocery store.
It's so fun.
I mean, like, you're young, so, like, hopefully you'll have the opportunity to be on your parents' insurance. If not, and it also depends on where you live, but I was a cashier. I had the ability to be union and have health insurance and stuff through them. And it's, like, nice and flexible. There's 1,000,001 shifts, 1,000,001 things to do. And another piece of advice that's, like, not part of this, but, like, when your job is asking you for your availability on holidays, like, do it, like, smartily. What's a smart way?
Intelligently? What are you talking
Intelligently. So, like, for example, my job,
my wife is very intelligent, but sometimes she just can't she just can't figure out a word.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you're more intelligent than me, but I think I'm probably better at speaking than you are.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, it works out well. You know? I'm more charismatic.
But, like, so when I was a DSP, you had to work, like, 3 holidays from the big holiday season in between, like, November to New Year's. And so, like, for example, I would always say, like, yeah, no problem, I'll work on New Year's Eve, but I would work the morning shift, you know, so that way you get your holiday out of the way instead of being like, oh, I don't want to work any holidays. Do, like, you know, the least thing, or, like, Christmas Eve, work during the day.
Yeah, makes sense.
Stuff like that.
So I guess this would be the last question here, huh?
Yeah, and then I have a silly one.
Okay. Well, this is the last viewer question. So they asked, Papa God has shown his feelings on losing popularity. Knowing that YouTube is Papa's main job, how does Papa's fluctuations in popularity views affect your relationship or how he feels mentally? Like, yeah, like sometimes I get in my feelings and sometimes I get frustrated, and I talk to my wife and she consoles me. You know, a lot of it's been like, focus. First of all, like, I'm really still doing pretty well financially. But a lot of the conversations just centralize around, like, you know, just because the money or the views aren't there the same doesn't mean that there's still not growth being made in, like, a different capacity. Like I said before, valuing the calmness in my platform, the ability to take disagreements, the ability for backlash, because it's always going to be disproportionate whether you're right or wrong. There's never going to be a proper proportionality on the internet like you're going to have in, like, the real world, because there's so much anonymity. Nobody has to really own what they say. Like, they won't say it to you face to face, and that's not like a fighting thing. I'm not saying like that, but there's like a human element that's gone from the individuals on the computer even to you. You know, a lot of people don't look at content creators as human beings, and you know, that's kind of just a reality. So I've been getting better at that. I think I handled my most recent issue pretty well, backlash-wise. I'm actually pretty happy the way I dealt with that. So yeah, I mean, like, I still value different things, and if I have to get a real job, like, that's okay. Like, it really is okay. I've always tried to keep in the mind, like, okay, we've already talked about the job that I could do specifically in case things fall through, and it is what it is, and I'll succeed. Hopefully, whatever I do, I'm gonna put my most into it. So. All right, what's your silly question?
It's not really a question now that I'm reflecting on it, but it's more about, like, things that I wish were socially acceptable thing, and maybe your thought on it. So, like, you know how people have, like, lazy eyes?
Sure.
I wish that it was socially acceptable to be able to ask them which eye I should be looking at.
That's actually.
And do you think that is rude?
I know.
Because I feel like it's rude, but at the same time, like, it would enable me. Like, first of all, I feel like, you know, you're looking at me being like, which one am I looking at? And then it would enhance our ability to communicate.
It's such a rude question that is also not rude at all. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I had a lazy eye, maybe, like, let's just get the elephant.
Like Mike Myers, and he's in a movie with Gwyneth Paltrow where we should watch it. He's like the teacher. They become stewardess for airplanes, and he's their teacher. Okay. And he has a lazy eye, and when he's talking to them, he goes, "This one."
Yeah,
so, yeah. And it's like, I wish I could do that.
It's kind of a good question because, like, yeah, I wonder if people would have lazy eyes, if they're like, hey, like, just this, you know, and then we're good. We move on.
Yeah.
It's not fucking weird anymore. You know?
So that wasn't really a question, but yeah, just a thought.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that you're weird if you're lazy. I mean, like, the energy in the air isn't weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Things that I wish were socially acceptable, I have no fucking idea. Yeah, that's it.
There's just me pondering.
All right, well, this was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. It was like 50 minutes.
I thought it was.
It was fun.
what
It was
gonna
fun.
be.
It was productive. So, anyway, guys, I appreciate you hanging out, and we'll get to something else next week, content-wise.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.